just to be honest with you, how similar we are when it comes to our lives, right? Because I'm not that much different. And Instagram does a very good job, or at least people on Instagram do a very good job of, masking what, not even masking, just only showing the good things in their life. So I'm going to do y'all some justice today. Just keep it a stack as usual. Break open the barriers and give you guys and girls the chance to, learn a little bit more about who I am, what I've been through, and why I got here, why I decided to choose this path for myself. All right. So as you join, let me know how your day is going. All right. Let me know how your day is going when you join. We can chat it up for a little bit if you've got questions and comments, things of that sort. You're more than welcome to ask them as we go along. And at the end of recording, once I'm done recording, we'll chat it out. We'll talk about it. All right. So, with that said, with that out the way, let's dive into the podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Yo, what's good, meatheads? Hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of the Meathead on the Mic podcast. It's your host, IFBB Pro Matt Wutale, coming at you with another topic. Today, we will be talking about 10 things you didn't know about me. But before we dive in, I want to let you know you're welcome to join the Meathead Monsters Club. It's a free Facebook community where you have the opportunity to meet other meatheads online. All right. Don't forget to screenshot and share this podcast on your IG story to show support. Believe me, it'll go a long way. I really do appreciate it. Also, if you have any questions and you'd like to ask me, via DM, or you'd like to tune into the live recording to see exclusive behind the scene footage, you can search for Matt Butale on Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, shameless plug to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to that if you want to see some meathead content. Okay, it's time to embrace your inner meathead. Let's dive into the meat and potatoes, bro. Okay, so today's episode is, I don't even want to say off the cuff. It's something that I believe is necessary if you people want to actually learn a little bit more about how to change your life in a positive way, coming from like not an entirely negative background, but just not a positive or a fortunate background, we'll say. Okay, so just to break the ice, I've been in the social media space for about 8 years, and I've met so many people, so many wonderful fucking people along the way, as well as haters too. I mean, shout out to the haters too, because you guys matter. I'm not gonna discriminate. Attention is attention, and whether I want to admit it or not, people on Instagram are attention seeking, right? Even if you run a business, whatever, you're seeking the attention of people that you would like to join your platform, your program, right? So in a way, we all are attention seekers online, and I just got to be honest about that, right? But anyway, shout out to the haters. All right, so whether you're coming across my content for the first time of your life, or you've been following my journey for years, and you knew of me before I even started competing in bodybuilding when I was a wrestler, if you knew of me only when I was like a national caliber athlete, all that stuff. Allow me to give myself a formal introduction so I can connect with you, my supporters, my day ones, on a deeper level. Okay, because this is really important to me. Again, y'all support me. And the very least I can do for you is not only just give you value, but like open up and show you a little bit more about who I am, so that we can just eradicate that barrier of like social media being this platform that puts people on a pedestal. In which honestly, I don't believe that I'm on a pedestal. I believe I'm on the ground with y'all motherfuckers. And I don't say that in a demeaning way. I just say that to let you know that I'm down to earth. And I don't think of myself to be better than anybody just because of the things that I've done in my life. So we're going to break that down today. Okay. I've achieved some pretty amazing things in my life, and I've done some pretty fucking horrible things too. All right. But Instagram, as I said, it's a platform where people mainly only put the good things out. And I'm guilty of that, except for today. Because today I will be just, breaking the ice, keeping it a stack, and just showing you guys what the fuck is up by telling you 10 things that you didn't already know about me. And again, this applies to everybody, whether you've been following me for years or you just started following me last week. You know what I mean? Like, I only put out the good things. So I think that it's important that I dive in and just share this all with you. Okay. So my goal in today's episode is to show you that we're not all that different. We just make different choices because I'm human too. All right. So with that said, here are 10 things you didn't know about me. Number one, let's get the boring stuff out the way first. All right. Let's get the boring stuff out the way. I see you there. What's up, bro? On TikTok. Shout out Anthony. Again, if you're watching the live, you could see me record this as we chat. All right. So that's a perk you want. Definitely search for me on social media. Anyway, let's get the boring stuff out the way first. So this is started off. I was born and raised in Toronto, Ontario. For those of you that do know, that's the six. All right. Born and raised. Okay. So that's where I was born and raised. I come from a home of, what is it, five siblings, including myself. I'm the second oldest. I wasn't poor, growing up, but we weren't rich because we had like five, it's five kids. You got two parents, and we have a home. So it was hectic. It was noisy. It was lovely. I had an amazing childhood. I won't even lie. I had one of the, I think, best childhoods like ever. Because when I was growing up, like, and I'm young, but like when I was growing up, you know, going outside to ride our bikes and playing with action figures and all that stuff was a real thing. Like we weren't just all glued on the console, on the TV, and we didn't have phones. And I feel old for that, but I know that I'm young. But I feel really old because I know that there are 5 years olds now that have phones and iPads and this, that, and the other thing. So we didn't really have everything. We had a PlayStation 2, and that was goaded because we were the only family on the block with a multi-tap. So everyone would come over and we'd play SmackDown versus Raw. If you guys know what I'm saying, you guys know what I'm saying, man. We used to play DBZ, Budokai Tenkaichi. Like I grew up. I love anime. I love Dragon Ball. And that's just something that I did as a kid. You know, with my friends, we'd play with action figures. Uh, WWE was a big thing. WWF was a huge thing, and that's just something that even to this day is attached in my heart. It's a part of who I am. Marvel, the Incredible Hulk, like those things I loved as a child, and they're still a part of me. Also, I'm a humongous Michael Jackson fan. It's not even funny. For those of you on Facebook watching the angle that is recording behind me, you can see the MJ poster. But if you can't see it on this angle and you want to see it, it's in literally every other live. And the reason why I'm such an MJ fan, aside from his talent and music, I don't really know, man. The guy to me as a kid, I just thought the guy was magical, and I always aspired to be that magical. It was never like popularity thing. It was like this guy like makes magic real, and this is a human being, and I just fuck with it. Honestly, as a kid, I just thought like when he did the lean, when I saw it for the first time, I was like, damn, bro, like this guy's something else. So that's something you didn't know about me. I'm a fucking huge Michael Jackson fan and a meathead. All right, so those two can definitely coexist. All right. Also, I got my first job as a dishwasher when I was 14. And I just want to take some time out today to apologize to you, Ross Kelly, if you're out there. I did lie on my resume just to get the job. But thank you for even hiring me at that time. I started working since I was 14 years old as a dishwasher. It was at a Turtle Jacks. And that's where I started really making my first amount of money. And as I said, we weren't poor, but we weren't rich. So if there were things that I wanted, I actually had to work and get it, which at the time I would be so pissed off about because I'm like, at the time I was just getting to high school and all my friends were getting gifted vehicles, getting gifted like just money and shit. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta work for everything that if I want to be on the football team, I've got to literally pay for it because my parents just they only had the money to pay for what we needed, not what we wanted, if that makes sense. Because come from a big family, and both my parents are immigrants, right? So that's just what it is. And also, I didn't mention all of my family. So this is the second thing you don't know about me. I'm an identical twin. I'm older by 3 minutes, so I'm actually an identical twin. Yeah, go figure. There's two of me. There's two fucking natty meatheads out here killing the scene. Just joking. It's me for now, but my brother's out there, and we literally did everything together. We played football together. We wrestled together. Track and field. We even took swimming lessons together. We used to do every fucking sport together. Shit, my mother used to dress us up in similar clothes. Like that cliche definitely existed. And that was something that we endured for most of our life. We were pretty much the same person. Nobody really knew the difference. I don't even think I had my own established identity until I was 14 because to everybody we were just known as the twins. Yeah, they gave us a plural as a singular person because they just didn't know what the fuck we were. Matt and Mac, go figure, right? So you'd always get that fucked up. The thing was, he has a birthmark under his lip and I don't, so that's how you'd be able to tell. But now we both have some facial hair, so good luck with that. But I grew longer hair, he's got shorter hair, so I've got an identical twin brother, right? So that's something you probably didn't know about me, unless you know me in real life or you just saw that one random post I made like 7 years ago, 6 years ago with my brother in it. So that's another thing. And before you ask, yes, I proposed the idea of him, joining me and doing this fucking Hodge twins thing, but it's just not his passion right now. He's a father and he's working, so he's got different responsibilities in life. Because he made different life choices, and I made different life choices. So who's to say that one day that will never happen? I don't know, but it's a possibility because we both do have a strong passion for health and fitness. Again, he was my gym partner for most of my fucking life, so go figure. All right, so let's talk about this one. The third one is something that I know some of you might relate with. At first, I was going to include it, or at first, I was not going to include it, but decided to include it because, again, as I said, I want to keep it a stack. I just want to be open with you guys and girls. I want to let you know, in and out who I am, good and bad, because you pretty much only see the good. So at 14, this is the third thing, guys. At 14, my parents got divorced, so I sort of became like a loose screw. What's up, Tyson? I see you there. Shout out to Tyson. He's my client in the Natural Nomad Academy. I'm just waving him on the live stream there on Instagram. Anyway, so 14 years old, that's when I became sort of like a loose screw, the kid that did not listen, the kid that would skip class, the kid that would, pick fights and all that. I started smoking weed at like 13 and drinking whenever I could, honestly. And I know that now, of course, that most of it is related to the pain of, my parents divorcing right as soon as I got into high school and stuff like that. And I saw how it affected both of my parents, and my siblings were split up for me. So it was just really like a tough time. And what I did to cope with that was just fucking start shit, get in trouble, smoke weed, drink whenever I could. And honestly, that led me down a bad path, as things like that usually do. And I started getting involved with the police from, I believe, 15 years old up until I was 17. So I didn't actually get arrested. But the thing was this, my dad would always go on vacation to Africa, periodically every single year because he's a truck driver and he just wanted to get out and just, he just got divorced. So he wants to like go see some sights and whatever. So he'd always go on vacation. And every single time he went on vacation, guys and girls, they kid you not, and this is when Twitter was really the shit. Still is the shit to me. But anyway, so I'd go online and message all my friends and like, they'll all be in class and shit. I'd be at home smoking weed at like fucking 14. Like, yo, like, guys, this weekend, just fucking pull up to the crib. It's like, shout out to everybody that knows the field or Ridge Fields, because that's where it was at. That's where shit happened. That's where shit went fucking down in high school. You know what I'm saying? Hey guys, pull up to the Ridge, pull up to the field, whatever. We got a 2 day long, 3 day long, sometimes even 7 day long fucking benders, house parties, in my house that we'd throw whenever my dad would leave. And, that's pretty much what I spent most of my early high school doing, you know, smoking, drinking, inviting people over and hosting the fucking longest house parties ever. And just doing a bunch of drugs, selling drugs. Sex was an issue. Like, bro, it was a mess. High school was a mess for me. And I'll just be honest with you. As I said, I just want to keep it a stack. And I want to let you know that we're not that different. You know what I mean? Like, I actually made some fucked up decisions. But I also made some fucking amazing decisions too, right? But that happened later, of course. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. So getting involved with the police, very simple. It was, if you've ever held a house party, and you start causing a ruckus, damaging shit in the neighborhood, you got a whole bunch of teenagers. Like, fuck it. I remember one time vividly. I don't know why this memory's still in my head. One random dude that came to the party who I didn't even fucking know, because the part, like, we literally clog up the house. And it would become a block party. He walked onto one of my neighbor's vehicles and just started fucking taking a piss on it. Like, he walked onto the hood of it and started peeing. So what the fuck? And then the neighbors ended up calling the police, and then everybody else started making noise complaints, and we didn't give a shit. We threw a party every single weekend, and they knew without a flyer that that shit was going to go down. So kept getting involved with the police on that side. And one day, actually, this is funny. Just saying this because it makes me laugh and it came to my head. But one day we were throwing a party, and I didn't know when my dad would be coming back. So we're just fucking hammering away, drinking, smoking, drugs, lean, all that. It was just a mess. And then the lights go on outside. We knew the police were there, and everybody knows the drill. They just jump out of the backyard. We run across the street, go behind the gas station, and fucking party there. We didn't care. Honestly, teenagers are the worst fucking creatures, man. When I become a parent, I'm gonna be stressed out before they're teenagers, just because of how I know how I know I was when I was a teenager. Anyway, so, they stormed the house. Everybody get the fuck out. Da, da, da. Okay, fuck. And I walk out to the front, like, shit, we got to deal with this again. And like, dude, we would not play. Like, we would have capes and shit. We would like, man, we really went in on those parties. We were just a bunch of silly kids with nothing better to do. That were in a way hurt and just wanted to find something else to spend time on with other people by socializing. And so I walked down the stairs and my dad was there just yelling at the top of his lungs. He didn't know we threw house parties whenever he left. He just came back and always, noticed something was a little bit weird and we were a little bit too well behaved. It was just like suspicious. So, he ended up finding out and then he just like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. Everybody get out of here and shit. And then we didn't get disciplined that much at that age because I mean, I'll be honest with you, we were a little bit bigger and he just didn't give a fuck anymore. He's just like, fuck, man, whatever. So yeah, that's pretty much how we got, or at least I got involved with the police when I was growing up. Also, at the end of that bender, like, so what made me stop doing that? What made me stop being an outlaw? What made me stop, you know, abusing drugs and like partying all the time and everything? And like, guys, I got this out of my system when I was like fucking 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, which is why now, even like at my age, I barely club. Like, I'll go club only if I'm gonna go out with some people or if I'm gonna go out to celebrate something like significant, or see people I haven't seen in a long time. Because I don't feel that urge to always go out and party every single weekend because I've literally did that all of my high school and I know how fucking rundown you'll get and how boring it is. So I ended up, what made me stop this thing was I ended up accidentally getting my father in some trouble. I actually got one of my family members stabbed because I did something stupid. I was fighting at some other person's party. And I forgot that pretty much most of the city at the time knew who I was and where I lived and what I did and where I went and where I worked. And because I was just very social. And yeah, that happened. There was a crime related to something that I started, a fight that I started. And that was like my, I guess, come to Jesus moment. I was like, yeah, fuck this shit. I'm not gonna do anything stupid anymore because it's not even like me. It's like the people that are around me can get affected by my dumb decisions. So that one really hit me. And it made me just sit with myself and like ask, like, dude, why am I doing all these stupid fucking things? Like, why am I, being so irresponsible and careless as if other people can't take the blow of my stupidity? So that's when it really hit me when I was 17. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking stop doing this before it really gets out of hand. Because it already got out of hand when my family member was stabbed due to me getting into a fight at some random party previous to that. So that was me at 17. Okay, so it wasn't an entirely nightmarish situation because, although there was the negative side of the partying and the drugs and stuff, there was a balance between football and wrestling and other sports that I did when I was in high school. So I picked up football and I was a linebacker for a couple of years, just in high school, nothing outside of that. And, I'd also train in the weight room and all that stuff. And summer school that year, I actually flunked out on math. So in order to get my academic grade up, I went to summer school. So I went to summer school, and that's where I met my longtime friend and wrestling coach, Marlon Sherlin. So Mr. Sherlin, we call him that, and he was the head coach of the wrestling team as well as his own individual wrestling club, which I ended up joining, and I ended up winning several tournaments. And finished second in Canada in my rookie year as a freestyle wrestler in the 63 kilo category. Right. So that was like something that really changed my life because I was actually able to apply myself and like instead of spending my time with other people just getting high and doing drugs and all that stuff. It was like the first time I think in my life up until that point that I took 1 year off of like drinking and smoking weed, and I saw the positive return of like being a national caliber athlete and getting stronger and like having more of a positive impact on others that were joining high school and that knew of my name and things like that. Um, and I started to feel like that influencer type of vibe where it's like, yeah, this kid was an asshole, but now look what he's doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's changing the world in his way. He's winning in his way, and instead of like fucking just staying in the same repetitive pattern of continuously losing all the time, right? And not just like in the sport, but like in life, making those decisions. And that really was like a huge stepping stone for me. It really built me up a lot in terms of confidence and morale and like just ethic. Like what I wanted to do when I woke up changed dramatically when I was passionate about competing in wrestling, or I'll say competing in general. And you'll know why I'm saying that in a couple of seconds. All right. So at that time, I learned I have a passion for sports, fitness, and overall health, and that it's something that I can't really get rid of, but it's something that I can mask doing other shit, which isn't conducive towards my success or my health in general, right? Which we did talk about earlier. All right. So then this is when shit got fucking real because I finally found something that I liked. Okay. I finally found something that I liked. And then they kicked me off the team because of my grades. Okay. And no, I'm not a fucking stupid kid. I just didn't go to class. Right. Like I straight up went to school for wrestling, gym class, and football because those were the things that made me feel not only accomplished, but they're like my safe space. That's like all I really fucking had that I really wanted to do. Like that's what I woke up for. I didn't wake up to fucking read books and or anything like that. And this sounds ignorant, but school wasn't really for me. And that's something that I noticed, quite early. And of course, I was on the positive incline when these negative things with getting kicked off the team started happening, but I didn't care much to rectify that, right? So I just let that happen. I was like, well, fuck, I don't care about these grades anyway. I really just care about wrestling, going to school, or going to gym class, going to football, and just dominating, because that's where I just feel alive. That's where I feel like I'm using my body. And again, as I said, I'm not a stupid kid. I did all of my courses academic and had 90s in sciences, and math was is a strong point for me up to this day. But it's just I didn't care to go to school to fucking read. It's just what it was, right? I cared to go for the social experience. I cared to go for the athletic sort of like vibe that I not even vibe, the athletic practices I would get to, you know, embody, or at least engulf myself in. And that's just what it was for me. Like, it just was. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys and say that it wasn't. All right. So if you ever felt like school was something that, wasn't for you, and whatever the like, just know that I felt that way too. And you're not alone. And you can still feel that way and still end up seeing success later on in your life. Okay. So with that happening, I was kicked off of the teams, and I just stopped fucking showing up for school. So I was like, fuck this shit. Then I ended up dropping out at 17, and I began working in factories because I'm like, look, these guys took the number one thing that I care about the most away from me. And even that isn't enough to motivate me to go do what the fuck they want me to do. So I said, fuck this shit. I'm just going to go out and make money. And why? Well, because I know that if I want to do what I want to do, I'm going to have the money to do it. Now, keep this in mind for later, because this one is actually something that you guys want to pay attention to. And it was one of the things that allowed me to change my mindset moving forward. Okay. So another thing that you don't know about me, all right, is after working factories for a year, I became a security guard because, well, first of all, I fucking hate working in factories. And that's something that I noticed really early. But I was doing it with a goal in mind to become a security guard. See, now I didn't actually hate just doing security or anything like that. I just preferred it over, working in a factory. But in general, I still hated anything that restricted me from doing what I wanted to do with my time when it comes to health and fitness, which is why school for me was just a headache, because it restricted me from doing what I actually wanted to do. And work would be put in the same thing, the same category, because you got to work in order to get money, in order to do the thing that you want to do. So if I could eliminate that work thing, that would take away so much of my time. And again, it's not that working is hard for me. I've been working since I was 14. It was just I'm not encouraged to do things that I don't want to fucking do. And the moment that I start putting myself in that pattern, shit just starts to fall down. My foundation starts to break down, and then everything is just shit. You know what I mean? Then I fall into that negative habit of or mindset of like just doing drugs, drinking, and all that stuff. Right. So from ages 18 to 22, I worked as a security guard. I was a bouncer, concierge, VIP escort. I've worked literally everywhere. MMVAs. I've bounced at big clubs with big names. The Wayne brothers, I've met them. Fucking Phil Kessel, PK Subban, Drake, fucking who else now? Uh, Tory Lanez. I've seen them all, right? Being a security is pretty cool. Security guard is pretty cool when you're good at it, because then you get rewarded and you get to see some cool things that other people don't get to see, and it felt good. I actually did not up to this day, like comparing all the other jobs that I've had, security was like actually the best, because it would give me a mix of the most amount of freedom that I could get while still abiding to someone else's schedule for me. So I was like, whatever with it. So, and again, during that time, I was able to hit the gym hard because, again, the gym was still my safe space, and I was able to say mix it into my schedule because I could actually like afford a gym membership, afford to eat clean, and afford to buy supplements and all that stuff. Okay, so fast forward a little bit from I guess 18 to 19, I was so it's in between the window of 18 to 22. So what happened was I ended up competing at my first bodybuilding show, but it wasn't like I just went there and I started to compete. It was I was actually peer pressured by my boy who's named Matt. So shout out to you, Matt. You are definitely I owe a lot to you. Definitely pushing me forward into getting this dream of mine on the road. But so this is the thing. It's so funny. Both of our names are Matt. We were both going through a breakup at this exact same time. It was fucking like it was uncanny. And he's like, "Yo, bro, I'm gonna do competition in men's physique at a natural show. It's in X amount of months. I forgot the time at the time." And he says, yo, you'd be a fucking great candidate. You should train, you should get lean, you should fucking join this show with me. We should do this together as bros. I'm like, I don't know, man. There's something about getting on the stage and fucking underwears in front of people and colored underwears at that, and then posing. It just made me fucking feel uncomfortable. So he's just like, yeah, whatever, cool. I get you, but next week I'm gonna ask you again, and bro, you better be in. I'm like, I don't know, man. So he asked me the next week, and I said, fuck, I don't know, man. And he's like, dude, like, let's redeem ourselves, like, we're single now. Let's just fucking spend all of our time working and going to the gym and leveling up as men. So I'm like, you know what, man? I'm already in the gym with you anyway all the time. So let's just fucking send it. Hired a coach. I agreed to do the show, and I went to go compete at my first show. And I won the show at 19 years old. I wasn't expecting to win the show. Like, I didn't go in there saying I got the shit on my belt. Like no, I'm the same way I am now. I'm extremely humble with everything. I never go into a show like it's mine, like that. Like, I do my work, and when I'm training, I'm like, that's what I keep in my head. But when I go to the show, I'm just like, bro, I'm gonna get what I'm gonna get. But all I know is that I worked for what I'm gonna get. So whatever I get is gonna be worth it because the work that I put in is worth that result, at least according to the judges. So I didn't really go in there with anything in my head, but I was nervous because I was put into the wrong age category for my competition. I was supposed to be competing for 21 and under as I was 19, but my coach at the time mistakenly put me for 21 plus, which ended up scaring shit out of me. But with every scary thing in my life, every time I overcome it, I fucking break the barrier. So although I was mad, I gotta thank you, Joel, because that mistake was pivotal in me chasing this dream of mine called bodybuilding. Because I ended up winning that show, and after I won that show, naturally, it reignited my competitive passion, and that's something that I noticed that was always laying dormant inside that I never really had the opportunity to showcase again or to use again because I wasn't competing in wrestling anymore. I was just going to the gym and working as a security guard, which did suffice for the moment, but I always had that competitive edge, which is actually what kept me in the gym, right? It's what made me better. It's what made me stop making those like horrible decisions that I was making earlier on in my life, and what allowed me to start making the better decisions in my life that would bring me happiness, joy, give me the ability to influence people positively. And then with social media on a larger scale, and then meeting other people around the world that have the same passion. Shout out to Alien Age, right? And we're going to be diving into that in a couple of weeks because I got some special guests coming up, and we're going to be breaking that down. But that's for another time. But guys, girls, I took it seriously and it started to really just take on in-person clients on the side of my security gig, right? Getting back in that like competitive fire mode and like, just fucking like there's something about competing I can't explain to you, and it's not even the winning. It's like knowing that you're training for something else. You're training not only because you want to feel good, not only because you want to look good, but because there is a result on the other end of that hard work that you're dying to achieve it. Like, you need that shit. And it's not the first place medal, as I said, but as a competitor, it's the knowing of understanding that all the work that I put in here equals that. And that could be winning, that could be improving, your performance or your physique, depending on what sport that you're doing, whatever it is, right? Like, you're striving for something that the average person isn't because you're so competitive with not only others, but yourself, right? So you don't let yourself slip. And I personally believe this: the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you're always like, underachieving in whatever field, it's likely going to bleed out into other fields. And if you're overachieving in other fields, it's likely going to bleed out into other fields. So I noticed that when I started to like overachieve and like start to compete, like even though I had barely had time to like live properly, I would just jam in some time there to focus on my side hustle, quote unquote, which is, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to actually train people. I want to help people. I want to create impact in the world. I want my name to fucking mean something. I don't want to just build up other people's dreams. Like, that was something that always laid in the back of my head. And, when I started to compete and playing at that level, okay, when I started to compete at that level, it brought me up to another level mentally where I was able to actually commit to, okay, well, I don't have the time, but like, I'm going to commit to like getting better and getting closer to becoming, I guess, an entrepreneur, right? And that meant at the time taking on some extra clients. Okay. That meant, sleeping a little bit less and still working my security gig and still training hard and still eating clean so that I could be the bodybuilder that I needed to be. Okay. While also making the steps that were or taking the steps that were necessary to becoming the entrepreneur that I needed to be. Okay. So that's that on that. All right. So the ninth thing, and I know you weren't even counting, but we've been going through everything. And if you listen to this again, you'll understand, 1 through 10 where we started to bridge off. But I'll give you a little recap at the end. Don't worry about that. So the ninth thing is when I won nationals at 20 years old. So the following year after my very first competition, I won nationals at 20 years old. This was a game changer for me. All right, because of how bad I wanted to be a national champion in wrestling. Remember when I talked to you about finishing second in my rookie year as a freestyle wrestler? So, quick little story. The night before I was going to go to my finals, we were all at Montana's, like my coach, my brother, and all the other athletes. And I don't know if you know, like Montana's the restaurant, but so you get crayons and it's usually for the kids to write on the paper, and they wrote on the paper, everybody at the table wrote on the paper, they said Matt 2014 national champion. That was the year I was competing as a wrestler, 2014. And I actually ended up bombing on an 11-11 tie, which is a match that is still on YouTube to this day, and I'll probably post it when I get the ball, so you're gonna see it. But anyway, um so that happened, and then I was just devastated. I'll be honest with you. I don't cry often, but I fucking cried when I lost that one because it was on my birthday too, and whatever. So when I won the national championship as a natural bodybuilder at 20 years old, it was a game changer. It manifested what I wanted, except in wrestling, except instead of wrestling in bodybuilding. So I was so fucking happy. I was like, just joyed. I was like, I knew I had the potential to become a national champion. Maybe not in wrestling, but in bodybuilding, this is where it happened. And I always tell my friends this, knock on wood, if I ever get injured in bodybuilding, bro, I gotta compete. If I don't compete, I stay in the same place in my life, and I hate that shit. And it just makes me feel disgusting. So I'll probably return to the squared circle if my physique ends up looking like shit in the future. Knock on wood, because I'd much rather do bodybuilding, just for cosmetic reasons. Because I don't want cauliflower ear and a busted up face. But hey, if it's time to compete, it's time to compete, and you best believe I'm going to the squared circle to do that. If I can't do it in bodybuilding. So anyway, I ended up meeting a mentor online for the very first time, and became self-employed so I could focus more on my dream, bodybuilding, right? So Brian Mark is the guy, and he reached out to me in I think 2019 December. It was, yeah, 2019 December. It was after my second nationals where I placed second place after coming up a weight class at 21 years old. And he hit me up. He's like, "Yo, dude, like I see you've been posting on social media, and guys and girls, as I said at the start of this podcast, I've been literally posting on social media and like just been social in the space since about 2000 and shoot 2014, when I was really wrestling and all that stuff, 13, 14, I'd say 2014, so about 8 years. So he's like, dude, I saw some of your stuff and I think that you'd be a great candidate to join this online coaching community. So I was like, okay, all right, let's try this out. Let me just try this out. Let's see what's good. Let's see what's going to happen here. Right. So I ended up trying it out. I invested in it a month later after he convinced me because I was like super skeptical. And then I ended up joining. So after I joined, about 3 months later, COVID hit, but coincidentally, I was good enough and in a place to, just start branching off of security and becoming more leaning towards self-employed. By April, so my 22nd birthday, I was self-employed. From that point up until today, even, and moving on. So that was a huge part of me making that entrepreneur side of the dream come true, aside from bodybuilding, because I already won the nationals. And now here I am becoming an online entrepreneur, training people internationally, helping them, with their fitness goals and their body, and helping them feel aligned, um, with the knowledge that I have to provide and the experience that I've got to share with them. Right. So I felt even more accomplished, and that helped me build even more momentum. And at the start of the year of 2021, I wrote down on a vision board saying that I'm going to break 5 figures in 1 month and become an IFBB pro. Okay. So these were like the two biggest goals for me, right? One was for bodybuilding, one was for, I guess, the entrepreneurship or the finances or business, however you want to categorize that. So I ended up getting my pro card on November 27th, 2021, right? And I wrote this down in February 2021. So November, a couple of months later, it happened. And then the month after that, I was able to break 5 figures per month in my online coaching company, the Natural Nomad Academy, right? So when those things happen, I was like, okay, well, like I've just hit the peak. I just finally, broke through what I thought was impossible, because I honestly thought I'd be trying for my pro card for fucking years, but it happened, you know. And then same with my online coaching company. 5 figures, bro. Like, dude, there was a time in my life where that's all I'd be making in a year. And to make that in a month was just fucking crazy. And I gotta thank my mentors for that because they believed in me and they allowed me to, you know, use my expertise and my knowledge with the systems that they provided to offer better help and change lives for my clients around the world. So shout out to Brian, shout out to Cole, shout out to the Change Lives Academy for that. Because without them, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Okay. You got to get yourself some help. You got to, if you don't know what you're doing, even if you do know what you're doing, it's always better to invest in the help and pay for a seat at the table because chances are people have already experienced that. People that are at people are that are in the position that you'd like to be at have already experienced those things. And instead of going through that pain and the fucking struggle and headache of going through those same mistakes and figuring it out, learn from the people that have made those mistakes so you don't have to go through them, right? It's like almost paying for a time skip, if you will. But anyway, with that said, a lot has happened, but I'm only 23. The good things, I went through so much crap. I was a high school dropout. Fucking everyone thought I'd either be dead or in jail. But here I am shining, and you can too. Again, I'm only 23. If you look at social media, you're only going to see the good things. You're only going to see when I fucking won my pro card. You're only going to see, my clients winning. You're only going to see the good things that happen to me in my life when I go on vacation, traveling, all that stuff. You're only going to see the good shit because that's just honestly what Instagram's for. Most people don't give a fuck about the bad shit, right? But to those of you that actually give me the time out of your life that I'll never get back, I'm gonna keep it a stack for y'all. I'm just gonna tell you guys how it is for me, how I got here, and honestly, I wanted to remind you that we're not that fucking different. We may appear different on social media. We may even physically appear different in real life. Like I've got muscles you may not have, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, every single human being has the opportunity to change where they came from by looking at where they're going and forgetting where they're coming from. Does that make sense? All right, yo. If that makes sense, all I want you to do is like this episode, share it with a friend. I hope I was able to deliver a valuable experience to you guys and girls today. Thank you so much for your precious time and attention. All right. Also, if you want to join the Natural Nomad Academy and lose 25 pounds, feel free to DM me and I'll see if it'll be a good fit. All right. P.S. I will not be monetizing this podcast with ads because I respect your time and I just want you to simply get the value that I want to deliver. Okay. So no fucking ads and none of that fucking money grabbing shit. Okay. Don't forget to screenshot and share this podcast to your IG story to show support. Again, guys and girls, let's embrace your inner meathead together. All right. It's been nice chatting. Hope you like what today's topic was about. Natural IFBB Pro Matt Butale signing out. Boom. Podcast recorded, folks. We got a hater here on TikTok. He's like, get a job, but where are your muscles? You talk way too much and you humor me because you don't even have to be in this live stream, but you are. Like you might die tomorrow and you're spending your last moments here hating on me. It's really says something, and I don't know. God bless you. Ziploc says, low key, you look like a mix of Kevin Durant and RCA from Wu-Tang Clan. Bro, everyone gives me Kevin Durant, Offset, or a mixture of the both. So you know what? Whatever. I'm gonna take it. I know you're not trolling because you genuinely see that. So I appreciate you, bro. Anthony, man, what's up, cutie? What's up, bruh? You know what's up. How are you, man? So relatable feeling 772. I'm great, man. Yo, 736 likes on TikTok. I appreciate you. That chick says, Dad. No, I'm not your father. Happy G45. Follow the host. Appreciate the follow. Your name is round 3. I don't even know what the hell that means, but I appreciate you for joining. Evan Lloyd, I appreciate the follow. What's up, fella? Mr. Madness 6 says, a shout out, Bob. I don't know what that means, but what's up, fella? Shout out to you. Mr. Madness 6, I appreciate the follow. XZCYY, smiley face back at you. You know what's good. Yeah, yo, you know what's happening. All right, so let's see here. What do we got on Instagram? Okay. All right. Leroy says, I play fight DBZ with friends during recess growing up. Yo, dude, we all did that. We would play fight DBZ, and we'd also do like wrestling. So if you know what I'm talking about, because you were TDSB, I think you come from Toronto. So the first recess and second recess, so we'd have SmackDown versus Raw, bro, in the winter only, right? Because we could build the fucking rings with snow. So we'd fucking have our rosters, and we would impersonate whichever wrestler we wanted to be, and so the first recess was Raw, and the second recess was SmackDown, and That's how it was. Like we only had one ring, so we would always do that. And then we had the ECW. That was fucked up, man. Kids are creative. Like when, bro, the time before fucking iPads and iPhones and all that stuff for all the kids, that was a time to be alive, man. I actually feel sorry for these kids because they're gonna miss out on like going outside and scraping their elbows and knees and shit. But yeah, that's definitely something I did too, man. We had the DBZ battles, the wrestling battles. Man, we fucking ruined friendships over that, But it didn't matter because next morning by fucking 12 p.m., everybody was pretty much friends again. So, man, the joy of being a kid, I miss that shit. Lizzie, I appreciate you. Thanks for joining. Yes, shout out to everybody that joined. I can't even run through all your names here. It's a lot of people. Um, definitely means something. Thank you. Excuse me. Excuse me. It's not the C word. I just literally sneezed. So don't think you're gonna get something through the Wi-Fi here. It's not like that. Kime says true. Appreciate you, man. Will you always look at me? Thank you, Lizzie. Leroy, what's good? He says, agreed. Everything you say is valuable. I love your hair. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Leroy says, wrestling too. We wrestled half naked and shit, bro. Bro, it wasn't even half naked. It was with the uniform because they all had their fucking underwears on, and that was the uniform. So you get your winter boots on and your motherfucking drawers on. But that was when you were with your cousins, though. You're at home with your cousins because you can't really be doing that shit outside. So this guy's spilling the facts, bro. You had a live childhood too. I just know it. Cam says it is what it is. Leroy's like, RKO is my move. I made some kid cry in high school, giving him the RKO during hallways before the lunch bell. I felt bad, bro. Fuck, I know those ones. Like you probably had to. That kid ended up like every single time leaving the classroom, going to the hallways, like looking over his shoulder and shit. Because you just be sneaking in the corner waiting for the RKO. Man, those are the days, bro. That reminds me, like I used to like same shit for me. FU was my move. John Cena. So, and I remember the first time I think he got Great Khali, and then the other time he got Big Show and like Edge on his back, and he like did a double FU. I'm like, yo, that's so fucking amazing. So the next recess, I did like a triple FU with like the skinniest kids in my class, and I felt like it felt amazing. What else? And Jeff Hardy jumped off the 30-foot fucking thing to Swanton bomb Randy Orton like in '08. That was a big thing, man. That was a big thing. You had every kid jumping off of motherfucking dumpsters, off of portables, bro, into the snow, man. We were living it up. Those were the days, man. Those are the days, man. You're running me through memory lane here. Danae F Bulls 474. Nice username. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. 741 likes on TikTok. Guys and girls, that is it for today. I hope you liked today's episode. We'll be back again tomorrow with another podcast episode. You know what it is. All right, people. Hope you have the fucking sickest week, the sickest Monday. All right, let's get it. We out. Peace. Boom.